Assalamu alaikum, and it's good to have you back. What we did last week was that we had a look at the third verse of the Fatiha, in which Allah Most High says, Maliki Yawmiddin, the master of the Day of Judgment. What I want to do today is to have a closer look at this verse and examine the meaning of this word here, ad-din. What is interesting about this word here, ad-din, is because it's usually translated to mean religion or one's way of life. However, in this verse here, ad-din is translated to mean judgment, where we see Yawmiddin means the day of judgment. So why are they translated differently? Well, the simple answer is that the word ad-din has multiple meanings, and from these meanings are these two words: religion or one's way of life, as well as judgment or being taken to account. So let's explore this further. Let me ask you, what is the relationship between these two meanings? Well, let's see what the scholars of the Arabic language have had to say about this. The word ad-din returns to three letters. It has a root of the dal, the ya, and the noon, which we can see here. The scholars of Arabic mention that words that return to this three-letter root have meanings that relate to submission or obedience and humility. So let's see how we can apply this to the meanings of religion as well as judgment. So with the meaning of religion or one's way of life, it's very clear, because ad-din refers to what Allah has commanded us to do, the things which we need to perform, the things which we must avoid, the halal and the haram. And ad-din refers to this complete way of life which we submit to, which we commit to. And we see how this relates to the meanings of submission and obedience. What about the meaning of judgment? Well, basically, when Allah makes His judgment on the day of judgment, this is basically something which we must submit to. It's not just any judgment, but rather it's the judgment of Allah, in which He accounts us for the deeds which we have committed, which we have performed, be they good deeds or evil deeds, and we will need to submit. We will need to comply, we will need to obey the judgment of Allah. So this is how these two meanings relate to this particular root. To further elaborate, there are other words which return to this particular meaning, to this particular root, sorry. We have the word ad-dain. And ad-dain is basically a debt. And we can see how a debt is basically a relationship between one who lends and one who borrows, and the one who borrows basically needs to submit to the one who... It's a relationship of submission and obedience and compliance. There's also the word al-Madina, which means city. Medina, which means city, as opposed to a village, for example. And Medina also, the word al-Madina meaning city, returns to the root of the dal, the ya, and the noon. And we can see the relationship here, and that is, in a city, one is required to submit, to comply to the rules of those in power. So we can see here how all of these words relate to this particular root of the dal, ya, and noon, which in turn relate to the meanings of submission, obedience, and humility. So I hope that answers your question. And once again, if you've benefited from this video, please do share. And until next time, ma salama.